Greetings, I am the Lion Clan Chief. Welcome to the Lion Clan. In today's video, we are addressing yet again the Lord of all Snowtaps, Robert Sepehr, the last real anthropologist left on this planet. I kid you not, he actually believes that. Anyway, we're responding to a clip which he made in his video about Jesus Christ and Odin having descendants which mixed together and made some superhuman race or something. I don't know, man, some next level fantasy universe shenanigans. Okay, now in that video he sees two symbols which are present in Africa and says, checkmate, there you go. Aryans created African civilizations, sub-Saharan African civilizations, not North African, sub-Saharan African civilizations apparently are Aryan. Let's have a look at the clip and see what he's saying, eh?
On the right is an ancient Mesopotamian depiction of a solar cross, resembling the cross of the Knights Templar, which can be seen on the left inside of a seal of Solomon, taken from the inside of an Ethiopian church in Lalibela, rumored to have been built by blonde angels, with swastika symbols carved into the stone windows, with the stone structure itself resembling a solar cross.
Before we go into the symbology stuff, let me just clarify one thing. This is how Ethiopians depict angels. Tell me, do these look like blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryans to you? No, they don't. They look like Ethiopians, okay? These are Ethiopian angels. I hope my guardian angel looks like this. Anyway, I digress. Let's continue. So, Lord Snowtaps is under the impression that this symbol right here, which he's saying is the Solar Cross from Sumeria, representing the god Shamash, and this symbol right here, which is the swastika in Sanskrit Indian, are linked and are tied to Aryans. Every civilization which you see, every culture which you see with these symbols is proof that Aryans created it. That's pretty much his saying, okay? So in this video, we'll debunk that nonsense, okay? Humans come up with similar symbols and sometimes they mean different things. Sometimes they're similar, sometimes they mean different things. Just a disclaimer before I continue. This is for educational purposes only. I am not promoting the ideals of the man who misused this symbol in the 1940s, okay? 1930s, okay? I'm not Kanye West. I don't support what this man did, all right? I'm just saying, all right? Anyway, I'm just going to prove that these symbols can be found in different cultures, meaning different things to different people. They're not the same thing. They don't mean the same thing, okay? So we'll start with what he's calling the Solar Cross. Now, it's the Solar Cross because it represents Shamash, the god of the sun, in Sumerian. Now, in the Sumerian religion, there's also another symbol which represents this god, which is this, but that cross as well represents him as well. Now, as far as I know, the Sumerians were not Aryan. They were not Proto-Indo-European people. They were people of the Middle East. Yeah, Marsh Arabs are said to be the people closest genetically to them in Iraq. Okay, so these people were not Aryans. They were Middle Eastern people. Their language was unique, and it's not been tied to any language so far that I'm aware of. If that's wrong, feel free to correct me. But as far as I know, it's an independent language which the Sumerians spoke, not tied to Indo-European or Semitic. However, they do have a link with Semitic people. Yeah, so it appears the Sumerians of the north and those of the south were two different people that mixed, and the culture began to evolve. Some of those people were Semitic. So I don't see how Christian Ethiopians would be using the symbol of the Solar Cross in worship of a sun god when they were Christians. Christians don't worship a sun god. They worship the one true God, the supreme being to them. Now let's go into the history of the Christian cross. One of the earliest cross representations for Christianity date back to the reign of Emperor Constantine in the 4th century AD. Constantine adopted the religion and with this began to use this symbol right here. This symbol is called Chio Ryo. It includes the first two letters of Christ in Greek, and this was used, I believe, as a banner on the battlefield as well. After this, around 326 AD, his mother, known as Saint Helena today, went on pilgrimage to Jerusalem and discovered the crucifixion cross, the actual cross, and how it would have looked. And with this, more and more Christians began to use this cross to symbolize Christ, the sacrifice of Christ, the redemption, and so on. It began to appear in churches, artwork, and items, and as well as jewelry like necklaces. Now, with the spread of Christianity came diverse representations of the cross. You've got in the Western Christian world what's called the Latin cross, which is the cross many of us are familiar with right here. But then in the Eastern Christian world, you've got what's called the Greek cross, which is similar to what's here, similar to what he's calling the Solar Cross. This Greek cross was used by many Orthodox Christian cultures, including the Coptic Christians, who are some of the Christian cultures that influenced the Ethiopian church. So this is why the Church of St. George in Ethiopia looks like that. That's not a solar cross. That's clearly a Christian Greek cross, representing, again, the sacrifice of Christ to Christians. This is why you're seeing the cross as well here inside a seal of Solomon. The Ethiopian church has ties as well to the Jewish religion. So it's nothing to do with the Knights Templar or Aryans coming to Ethiopia and establishing themselves and ruling. This is just a symbol of Christianity to Christian people in Ethiopia. Okay? So I don't know where you're getting the solar cross nonsense from. There's not a solar cross to them. That's totally different symbolism. The Sumerians, as far as I know, did not go forth and influence the Greeks to have crosses and so on. If that's the case, show me the evidence. But as far as I'm aware, the Lord Snowtep will not be able to show anything because that's nonsense. It's bollocks. Debunked yet again. Now, just to drive my point at home, we'll go to the other side of the continent, specifically Ghana in West Africa. The Akan people of Ghana have a collection of symbols called Adinkra symbols. One of these symbols is this one called Krapa. Krapa means good soul. Now, the Akan people and the various sub-Akan ethnic groups like the Asante, the Fante, and so on did not have sun gods. They did not worship sun gods. So this has nothing to do with Sumeria. This has nothing to do with lost Aryans going to sub-Saharan Africa, establishing civilization and saying, hey, remember these symbols because we created your civilization. You have no civilization. You're hunter-gatherers. That's what Robert wants people to think. That's what Robert tells people, that, oh, every single civilization in sub-Saharan Africa is the result of Europeans. And the proof is symbology, like you're seeing here, which is a load of nonsense. These are Adinkra symbols. There is no word called Adinkra in Indo-European or Indo-Aryan. There's none of that. It's a load of bollocks. Yeah? So miss me with that nonsense trying to use symbology to claim African civilization. That's a load of nonsense. Okay? Anyway, we move on to this controversial symbol known as swastika in the ancient Indian Sanskrit language. Unfortunately, in the 1940s and 30s, an Austrian painter took the symbol and made it a symbol of hate, division, and supremacy for his people, unfortunately. However, looking at actual history, this symbol represents many things which are actually positive in many different cultures. Swastika, for example, means well-being in the Sanskrit language. So it's not a bad symbol when you look at from the context of different historical cultures and people. Now, to Robert Sepehr, this symbol again denotes that Aryans were in the regions and they took over everything. But this is a load of bollocks. That being said, in various Indo-European cultures, it is clear that it's tied to sun worship and sun gods. So there is a link with Indo-European cultures there. I'm not denying that. But when it comes to other cultures in Africa and other parts of Asia, it represents different things. And also in other parts of Indo-European cultures, it represents different things as well. Everyone is always under the impression that the mustache man, the painter, took the symbol from Indian culture and began to use it that way. But no. The symbol was taken from ancient Germanic ruins and artifacts from history. In Germanic lands, it dates as far back as 400 AD, and it began to be used to represent a cult of Odin of some sort. Now, the Romans had coin necklaces, which inspired the Germanics to have coin necklaces as well. These necklaces had the symbol for Odinic kings. So this is where the symbol came from in the Germanic context, known as the Falfir. Excuse my pronunciation. Now, in other cultures, like in Buddhism, it represents Buddha. Yeah, it represents something associated with Buddha. And this spread into Japan and other regions like China, known as Wan in China, and in Japanese it's known as Maji. As stated, the symbol does not always represent the sun god or the sun in every culture, even in Indo-European cultures. So, for example, in the geometric period of Greece, they used the symbol to represent a hunter goddess called Artemis, also known as Diana to the Romans. This is why you're seeing a hunter in this scene having that symbol on his garments while he's hunting, in order to get blessings from the goddess while he hunts, the goddess of the hunt. Yeah. With time, the symbol changes meaning amongst even the Indo-European people. For example, amongst the Romans, they began to adopt the religion of Persia, where they worshipped a sun god called Mithras, adopted to Mithras. Now, the Roman soldiers were part of this cult. It was a secret cult, and they spread north. Some people say this is how the symbol went into the Germanic lands, and the Germanics began to use it in association with Odinic worship and Odinic kings. So again, it's not pertaining to the same thing. It doesn't mean the same thing. Okay? Now, going back to the Ethiopian church and the symbol, what exactly did this mean to them? To understand this, you have to look at the Orthodox Christian culture within Eastern Europe, parts of Eurasia, and Egypt. This symbol is known as crux gamata. It represents Christ, eternity, the crucifixion as well to them. So the context which the Zagwe dynasty, the dynasty which is credited with creating these churches, had was in honor of Christ, and also to bless the church and protect it with these symbols. Yeah, that's why you're seeing other symbols as well on their windows, like for example the X cross, which in this context could represent the cross which one of the apostles was crucified on. I think it was Apostle Simon Peter. So these symbols are for the God of the Christians to bless the church, Jesus Christ, to bless the church, to protect the church. That's why they're putting them on pillars, on arches, and so on. That's the purpose behind it. It's nothing to do with the sun god. It's not because some sun god worshipping people came into Ethiopia, established civilization, and said, yeah, we're going to leave this for you now, black people or Ethiopian people. We're going to go away. They remember us by this. This symbol means we own this. We created this. So one day we're going to take over the world again, and yeah, you're going to have to give us our land and our churches back. Is that what happens? No. Please, miss me with that nonsense, okay? Now, this symbol is also found amongst the Akan people, specifically on gold weights known as abrumu. This symbol on the abrumu gold weights is specifically known as monkey's foot, according to some research. Now, what exactly does monkey's foot mean? In the Akan creation story, it's said that the creator was accompanied by a monkey, a calabash monkey. This monkey is called Efo, or Eso'sa. So Eso'sa was accompanying the creator and asked for a reward, and his reward was his name being remembered or honored in various elements of creation and in names and in the language, I believe, something like that. So this is why you see F4 and so on in certain Akan languages. I'm not sure how accurate that is. This is just what I found online. Yeah, there is conflicting information on what exactly this symbol means, but as far as I can see, many sources are saying monkey's foot in relation to Efo, the monkey which accompanied the creator. So as you can see, it's got absolutely nothing to do with a sun god from Eurasia. And the funny thing about this is Robert tried to use the Akan gold weights to claim the Kushites were Aryan. He used this artifact and said, look, these artifacts are from Kush. This is evidence that Aryans were in Kush, which is not the case. The artifacts are from Ghana. That being said, the Kushites did have the symbol too, as you can see on this piece of art. However, we don't know what exactly it meant to the Kushites, but it would have likely meant something totally different to many different cultures that are in Eurasia. It may mean something similar on coincidence, but as far as I can see, that's not the case. Yeah, the Akan people do not worship a sun god. They worship one god, a creator. Okay, there's no sun god in Akan. So that symbol right there has got nothing to do with the sun. So how do you explain that? These are African people in West Africa, no ties at all with Indo-European. Akan is a native West African language. There's nothing Indo-European about it. So how do you explain the gold weights here? And as you can see, goes from East Africa, that cross means something else. In West Africa, it means something else as well. It's also found elsewhere in other parts of Africa, and it's seen on scarification and tattoos. Does it mean the same thing? No. Okay? Now, there's another symbol amongst the Akan, which looks similar as well. And this is Nkotim, and it's another Adinkra symbol. This is a symbol for loyalty. It's usually worn by ladies in waiting for nobility and I believe queen mothers. This is why you're seeing the symbol all over this lady's garments. It was also associated with the haircut, or hairstyle, sorry, which the ladies in waiting would have on their hair. So they would have this symbol in their hair as well. Are they worshipping the sun in that case? No. Are they saying, oh, Indo-European people came into our land and gave us a symbol? No. This is their culture. These are their symbols. So symbology, if you see the same symbol in different cultures, it doesn't mean the same thing. Unless you find a correlation, then okay, fair enough. If it means the same thing, fair enough. Like I said, in some Indo-European cultures, that symbol represents the sun, movement, cycles, and so on. Makes sense. But it's also the case in certain African cultures that it represents different things. Yeah. To the Ethiopians, it represents Christ, sacrifice, resurrection, redemption. Yeah. To the Akan, it represents the monkey, which accompanied the creator. It also represents devotion and loyalty for those ladies in waiting with the queen mothers and nobility. In other parts of Africa, they have cross symbols, but they represent different things. For example, the Bakongo people have their cosmology, and the cross is a symbol in their cosmological cycles, which are very complex, and a religion and culture I really want to learn more about. So there you go. Yeah, if you see the same symbol in certain cultures, look at the cultural context first before you start dancing and saying, yes, Aryans ruled the damn planet. Yes, Atlantis. Yeah, all these symbols are from Atlantis. Yeah, because other cultures and other races can't make their own symbols. They can't come up with the same ideas and use it for different reasons. Yeah, that's Robert's thinking. The man thinks he's the last real anthropologist on planet Earth. I kid you not, he actually says that, which is very, very crazy and concerning that he has over 500,000 followers and more followers following him, eating up his bullcrap. Yo, sorry, I'm not as formal when I'm debunking Robert and other people, okay? I just I can't help it. Yet again, I give you the opportunity. If I've said anything wrong, if what I'm saying is incorrect, correct me, debunk me. Yeah? If you're Robert or Robert supporter, feel free, debunk me. The video's right there. You can make a comment, make a response video, whatever you want to do. Feel free. Show me how wrong I am. Show me that all these symbols are from Atlantis, Aryans, Indo-Europeans, the only people to create civilization on planet Earth, according to Robert. Show me that. I'll wait. Anyway, for people with common sense, the people who are open to correction and open to learning, thank you for watching. Yeah, thank you. I hope you've learned something new, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're from the cultures that I've mentioned and I've said anything wrong or incorrectly, or you've got more information, please feel free to let me know. Like about the monkey's foot, I really want. I'm very curious, okay? Because there's various conflicting information that I could find. The one I could find was about the Efo, the monkey Efo, the colobus monkey. But there's probably more information out there and more deeper knowledge which you have from people from Ghana directly. So if you're from Ghana, the Akan culture, different Akan ethnic groups, feel free, let me know. I want to know exactly what this is, okay? I'm so curious. And about the other symbologies, they're very beautiful and interesting. As you're seeing here, symbology is very important. Yeah, I'm wearing the I'm wearing the Nsibidi symbol right here. You know what I mean? You gotta represent Mama Africa. Gotta bring back these symbols. Yeah, so we understand and we appreciate ancestry. You get me? Anyway, I'm yapping here again. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed this debunking of Lord Snowtep. Yeah, feel free. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, I am your chief. Good day.